I'm looking forward to getting to our coolest conversations for today. I'll be joined by David Roach, lead singer and frontman for the long-running LA rock band Junkyard. New album is called High Water, and it features this week's coolest song in the world, Faded. Let's give that a listen, and then I'll be back with David on your coolest conversations at Little Steven's Underground Garage. Got the mighty Manfred here with you as we begin today's coolest conversations. And on the phone with me is David Roach, lead singer and frontman for the band Junkyard. How are you, David?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Very happy to have you on the line with me today. So you guys, Junkyard, you formed back in 1987 initially, is that right?
Yeah, beginning of 87.
So do you count 2017 as a 30-year anniversary or not?
Well, it's the 30th birthday since the conception of Junkyard, yes.
We know bands these days, they don't say break up or split up anymore. They just say they're on hiatus if they stop for a period. What led you guys to stop in 93, and what got you to decide to reform in 2000?
Well, we got an offer to play in Japan probably around 98, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then we were on another one of our disjointed hiatuses. And around 2000, we got a offer to open for the Super Suckers at the House of Blues there in Los Angeles. Huh. And consequently, we started getting more and more offers. Again, these weren't, consistent and constant. It was every, 6 months or so we'd get an offer, and it was always good to get back together and hang out with the guys. So we would, if it was feasible, we would do it.
deciding to put together the record, did that take a long time because you guys were just getting together periodically, or because you had the guys in the band had other music projects and commitments, or what was the reason it took so long to get you back into the studio?
Well, a little bit of both. We'd gotten some free time in 2015, studio that Baker used with Bad Religion, and so we had access to do a couple of tracks. So we did Faded and The River.
Well, you mentioned Baker a moment ago, meaning Brian Baker, I'm guessing, and I know he was also in Bad Religion. He's done some other things, but what is Brian's relationship with the band these days?
We're all still friends. Him and Tim both came from Washington, D.C., so they knew each other not real well back there, but once they were both in Los Angeles, they established a relationship. And we originally, a couple of years ago, started writing this album with Baker. So he's written a great deal. He's probably on 75% of the record. And then a few months ago, he decided that he just didn't have the time to do it, to give it enough commitment with as busy as Bad Religion is all the time. So he bowed out, but he gave us a handful of songs to work with, and we filled in the gaps.
Speaking of this week's coolest song in the world, Faded, is it detailing Tim's life growing up or Brian's life growing up there in the D.C. area?
I would say that they wrote Brian came up with the riff, and Mosier probably turned the riff into a song. Yeah. And the lyrics I wrote on my way to work one day on the bus. I didn't have a car at the time, and you got a lot of free time on your hands when you're taking the bus to work in the morning. So I was just jotting down some ideas, and I came up with the chorus there and wrote the verses around that. But yeah, it was about my life growing up in Austin, being. So
did you really grab beer from the Circle K and take off?
We called it wahooing, because you grab the beer, and as you ran out the door and the guy tried to catch you, you go, wahoo!
Very cool. So you guys were in the UK for the first time in many years, just towards the end of August. But you've toured, other European countries. You mentioned Spain. Mm-hmm. What is the best tour schedule to keep these days for you? And I ask because bands like Cheap Trick are like always on the road even now, and Joan Jett's really busy. Would you do that if you could?
I would if I could, yes. I would love to. The other guys got pretty decent, steady jobs. I'm actually the one who's the least grounded as far as steady work goes. So I would be happy to play as often as possible.
What do you do for steady work?
Well, right now, I was doing construction. I had surgery on my shoulder about a year ago, and so I quit my regular job. Now I do things at home and sell them. There's a website called Etsy, and I do art, and I make like patio furniture out of recycled wood and things like that. I hustle, I pimp, I do whatever I can to make money.
Well, that's cool. So this the patio furniture and stuff, do you have a website where we could check that stuff out?
Yeah, it's called The Moon and Spade, and it's on Etsy. And it's basically me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend does this aromatherapies and hoodoo guru crystal stuff. She's found an audience for that, and I just do my artwork. So it's kind of a strange combination, but it's getting off the ground and doing fairly well.
So with your artwork, is that separate from the furniture thing, or is the furniture like your art is expressed in a type of usable sculpture thing?
Well, the artwork is stuff that I can put in a box and send anywhere in the country. The patio furniture, I'm a little more limited to where I can sell that. It's more like people within the vicinity with a pickup truck who are interested. Or I just drag it out in my front yard with a for sale sign on it.
Cool.
We have a big New Age church right around the corner from our house, and we get a lot of foot traffic from, people like that. I live pretty close to the beach, so there's a lot of tourists around. So, by hook or by crook, I managed to sell some pieces here and there.
So, we need to take a listen to another track off the new album, High Water, and I want us to hear the opening cut, Walk Away. And definitely, to me, it's got that sort of, reminds me of Ace of Spades, the drumming on that one. You a Lemmy or a Motorhead fan?
Oh, yeah. There was a couple of years where that's all I listened to.
Well, who wrote Walk Away?
I believe that was another Brian Baker riff. Like I said, he comes up with riffs. He can pull riffs out of his butt all day long. And Mosier is the composer. He can make sense out of it all. And then I just write lyrics over the top of whatever they come up with.
Very cool. Mosier the composer.
Mosier the composer.
Well, David, thanks so much for speaking with me today on our Coolest Conversations.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, here's Junkyard off of High Water with Walk Away, Little Steven's Underground Garage. Walk Away. That is Junkyard in Little Steven's Underground Garage. Track off this year's album, High Water. This is the Mighty Manfred, and thanks again to the band's lead singer, David Roach, for speaking with me today on our Coolest Conversations. Thanks also to Dennis Mortensen for producing our segment. Next week, tune in when I'll be joined by the Crown Prince of Power Pop, Kurt Baker. He's got a new EP out today called The Lost Weekend, so we'll check in with him about the new release. That's your next Friday's Coolest Conversations, Little Steven's Underground Garage.